All right, everyone, welcome back. I know it's been a little while since we got to see y'all, but we are back with another episode, and we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it. We're genuinely excited about this episode. We have State Representative Julie Emerson, who represents District 39 in the State House. She's chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. She's a member of the Republican State Central Committee and a candidate for U.S. Senate. Julie, welcome to the Right Bros podcast. And as you can see, she's our fourth Right Bro today.
I know. I'm excited. I get to fill in for Justin. We miss him, but I'm gonna try to fill in valiantly.
Just ask stupid questions. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, Julie, tell us about your campaign for U.S. Senate.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me on, and I'm happy to report that we're all kind of close to each other geographically because I'm actually sitting in Caddo Parish right now. So I should have
Yeah.
crashed somebody's house today, I guess. Um, yeah, a little bit about me. I'm happy to be up here. I was actually born in Caddo Parish at Willis Knighton, but my family's from Claiborne, so about 45 minutes down the road. Spent the first 7 years of my life there, and then my dad got transferred. He works for a Caterpillar dealer here, and he got transferred down to South Louisiana. So I grew up in Carencro. Went to school in St. Landry Parish actually, and then went to UL. And went to South Carolina for a couple of years, got my MBA over there, and honestly, when I look back on it, I always hear all these stories of people saying, I just wanted to leave for college, but then when I left, I realized how much I love Louisiana and how much I wanted to come back, and so I always intended on coming back, um, but I'm really glad that I went to South Carolina for a couple of years because you build this crazy appreciation for your home state when you leave it for a couple of years and you're able to come back to it. So, got my MBA over there, came back home, started a business. I have a public relations, communications, media business, and that kind of plays into my decision and kind of what I do right now. But interestingly enough, I came back, was only home for a couple of years or not even that long, and my state representative seat, my state house seat, was represented by a Democrat, but we saw the political landscape kind of changing. It was definitely trending more conservative. There were some folks frustrated with the incumbent, and so we went and tried to talk a few other people into running, and I was kind of part of the team that tried to talk some other people into running, and pretty much everyone had the same reaction. We'll do it when the incumbent's ready to leave. We don't wanna ruffle any feathers. We don't wanna run against anybody. And so by the time we got done talking to all these people and nobody wanted to do it, um, everybody kind of looked at me and said, we've been watching you over these last couple months and you seem to have a lot of enthusiasm about this. So we think you should do it. And I was 27 years old at the time, and when I look back on it now, I realize I was pretty crazy, and I'm not sure that I would have the guts to do it again, knowing what I know now. But I'm very glad that I did it then. And, sometimes God just opens a really, really crazy door that you don't expect, and you need to walk through it. And that's kind of what
Amen.
happened here in this race. But, about 11 years ago, in my company, we were paying a lot of money for polling and market research. And so we decided to start doing some of it on our own. We thought maybe we could figure it out. And interestingly enough, we did that and we're pretty successful with it. And so I've been polling for about 11 years now. And I started polling the Senate race last year, actually. And I don't think it's any surprise to anyone on here or most conservatives in the state of Louisiana, but conservative voters had grown frustrated with Senator Cassidy. Obviously, he voted to convict President Trump on impeachment charges, and there were already some frustrations with him before, just as far as his record not being as conservative as we thought it should be. But then that was kind of the nail in the coffin right there with the impeachment vote. And I just don't think people have forgotten about it. And so we saw that, his numbers were pretty low. Frankly, they were very, very low for an incumbent senator who was running for reelection. And then as time went on, kept polling it. Really not for myself. I was just interested. I wasn't trying to jump in the race myself. I was just interested in how it was going. So we kept polling it. just kept seeing his numbers dive. Other people started getting in the race, weren't particularly taking off numbers wise. The undecided started growing, and then the number of people who wanted to see another conservative candidate and have another choice in the race was also growing. So all of that kind of led up to my decision to jump into this race. Like I said, doors open sometimes, and I want to make sure we don't um, abuse God's will in this conversation because I want to be very clear. I think that God opens doors for us and he expects us to walk through them,
Mhm.
but victory is
Mhm.
not guaranteed. So I know that when I stepped into this race, I knew it was something. I prayed about it and I got a lot of confirmation and affirmation on it. But now it's up to me and I have to work really, really hard. God does know what's going to happen. But
Yes, he
he
does.
always wants us to work very hard to accomplish it and get there. And so we got in, I guess, almost a month ago now, and have been working hard ever since. Really hit the ground running. I think we got really great media coverage on the announcement. Felt like there was a lot of momentum and enthusiasm, and then now we're kinda in the grind, you know? Obviously, you gotta raise a lot of money, it's an unfortunate part of politics, but you gotta get on the phone, you gotta go visiting people, and start introducing yourself to, a lot of the movers and shakers and the grassroots influences all over the state, so that's kinda what we're doing, that's why we're up here in Caddo, tonight and tomorrow. Happy to be here though. Like I said, my family roots are here. Actually, this really cool portrait behind me, my great grandmother did. She was an artist and a china painter. So we have a lot of really cool pieces of artwork from her. Just kind of a random anecdote, but a fun thing. So, very proud of my North Louisiana roots. And also, happy to live in Cajun country too. So I feel like that wasn't planned in my life. That's just something that happened that God did and my parents moved. But I just feel like it's given me such an appreciation for all parts of this state and all regions of our state. And I love Louisiana, and I certainly that is my main motivation. When I jumped in the race for state rep, I loved my state and I loved my area and I wanted Louisiana to be better. Unfortunately, we've been at the bottom of a lot of things for a long time. So I've spent the last 10 years in the legislature trying to improve those outcomes for Louisiana. I think thankfully now we have a Republican supermajority and conservative statewide leaders, and I think we've been able to move the needle a lot in the last couple of years in Governor Landry's administration. So I want to take that same drive to Washington because we need a lot of that up there too. We need a lot of righting of the ship.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So so just kind of opening up for questions, and then we'll just kind of go between me, Gabe, and Coy. So your position within the House is your chair of Ways and Means, which I think I've heard you say is ways to be mean, right? And have I heard you say that before?
Yeah,
Uh,
unfortunately, when you deal with tax policy, I've learned that we nobody likes paying taxes no matter what form they come in. I think the only super popular thing on Ways and Means would be if we abolished all taxes of all kinds.
I'm
So
all for that.
yeah, so I think that we are tasked with trying to come up with the most fair tax policy for our people,
Absolutely.
a tax policy that drives economic growth, so that we can continue to lower the rates as much as possible.
So with that with that position, you do a lot, as you said, with tax and stuff like that. How is that going to translate into the U.S. Senate?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So my first 8 years in the House, I will say they were pretty challenging. We had a Democrat governor, and we did our best to work with him as much as we could, but philosophically, we were just very different. So the last couple of years now with Governor Landry, and certainly with the leadership of our great speaker, Philip DeVilliers, he's been in the House with me for 10 years as well. We came in together, so I was able to take a little bit stronger leadership role, being chair of Ways and Means. And it really I don't know, I feel like a big nerd now because I really have become super interested in tax policy and, again, just the most fair tax policy that we can have. You see a lot of states around us, like Texas and Florida and Tennessee, they're going to zero income tax, and they're booming, and people will question it and say, "Yeah, but that means that, consumption taxes and sales taxes are a little bit higher, or, and certainly in the case of Texas, property taxes are a little bit higher. We're trying to keep those property taxes as low as possible in Louisiana. That's not something that we're trying to increase. Frankly, I'm not a huge fan of property taxes in general. It's kind of frustrating when you have to continue to pay, even when you pay off your house and pay off your property. So that, we're not wanting to increase that. But when you look at these other states that have shifted a little bit more toward consumption-based taxation versus income tax, they're just booming. They're thriving. Um, when you lean more towards sales taxes, and I know that, unfortunately, Louisiana, the state sales tax is it's pretty average. It's at 5%. But when you add on all those local sales taxes, I know it becomes quite cumbersome. And so we're doing our best to be able to lower that rate as much as possible and to provide relief to families. But I think when you look at a lot of those states that have shifted more in that direction, they're really just thriving. They're growing. People are moving to them. Businesses are moving to them, creating more jobs. And when that happens, and when you are able to create higher income jobs, which is what we want for our people, then those sales taxes become not quite as burdensome because you're making more money, because you do have more business and you do have more economic growth. And that's what we want for Louisiana. That's every state
Mhm.
in the South. You see them going in that direction. So, I think in your question, Parker, of how that translates, I've just seen up close and personal now what it means to have good tax policy. And I think that we need a lot of concentration and people who want to get involved in looking at these numbers and how to best grow the American economy. Look, I think you've seen even President Trump right now with everything that he's doing on tax policy, trying to get American manufacturing back here, trying to get more made in America. I think that the road's a little bit rocky to get there, but I think the outcome's gonna be very, very good for our country.
Absolutely. Coy, Gabe, y'all have any questions?
Well, I just want to say that your political background is truly inspiring, especially being that young, the state House representatives. A lot of our, me and Coy, especially people our age, we're looking to be in those positions one day, and so it's amazing to have younger faces in the race. With the past election, right? With the past 2024 election, we saw that Gen Z was a huge, chunk of the influence of the election. What are your goals and plans to, bring in the Gen Z voters to possibly vote for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and let me tell you, so being a pollster, being someone who's done a lot of polling over the last 10 years, um, we started seeing this trend actually back in 2016 and then the 2020 elections, because usually the 18 to 29-year-old voting demographic, if you and I mean, I know this because we had pollsters make fun of us, but if you see that demographic trending more conservative, then they think something's wrong with your poll. I mean, sincerely, when you look at the crosstabs and it starts shifting more toward, voting for Trump or voting for the Republican candidate, in the past, people would look at you, media outlets would look at you and say they don't know what they're doing. But we saw this happening, and there's like a lot of peer pressure in the polling industry of like, well, that must not be right. They can't be voting Republican. They can't be voting conservative by that much. But we saw it happening, and then of course in the last election, I think honestly, I think President Trump's willingness to have these kind of conversations on podcast, I think you saw it, that are just a little bit more laid back and casual. I think obviously the emergence of elected officials being on TikTok, doing more of these casual videos where they're having conversations, you get to know us better and who we are. Because look, I'll do any interview with normal mainstream media, but usually those interviews are, you know 5, 6 minutes. A couple questions here and there. They get a few sound bites, and then you run. But this type of format, I think, I always say that the two biggest things that people want in their elected officials are humility and authenticity. And I think when you have these types of platforms, it's more laid back. I mean, I messaged Parker before. I said, look, I know I'm supposed to dress the part of being a U.S. senator, but I feel like this is like a chill, casual situation. So I think I'm just gonna leave like my pullover on here because it's much more relaxed. But I think that's what people want to see. Like I said, just who you are, be come as you are, come with humility, and be authentically you. So I'm very thankful that you guys are doing this. I think that the younger generation wants to see formats like this. I think they want to see more interaction. That's why videos and TikTok works really well. All the reels on Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I just think it helps you become a more relatable candidate to who you really are.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Coy?
absolutely. So my question is, basically, obviously, Senator Cassidy, it's quite easy to put the line in the sand there, right? Quite easy to defer yourself from him. But this campaign, there's a lot of people jumped in as
Mhm.
Republicans. What How do you separate yourself from the candidates that have jumped in besides Bill Cassidy, the Blake Miguez's, the John Flemings of the world?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And first of all, I want to start this out because I knew that this was going to be a little bit of a fear the more people started jumping in. But look, I think any time that you have um, any type of race, certainly statewide, and then certainly one where you have a vulnerable incumbent, there's, I mean, we'll probably end up with 12, 15 people on the ballot. It just usually happens. I think the last time Senator Kennedy ran, it was like 20 people on the ballot because people will just walk in and qualify. So I expect that, the field to even, grow a little bit more. I think I saw there was another candidate that jumped in a couple of days ago. But I do want to help calm the fears of people who think that we're splitting the vote. That is exactly why we passed the party primary bill like we did, so that we can make sure that we get the most conservative candidate. That's also why we have a runoff. So in that first round in May, you can pick if you do not want to vote for Senator Cassidy, which I hope you don't. But if you do not want to vote for Senator Cassidy, there are a number of options to choose from, and I think that that's healthy. I think that we all bring different things to the table, and then whoever makes it to the runoff, because I mean, it's not a sure thing that Senator Cassidy is going to make the runoff. I mean, I think it all kind of depends on how it goes over the next few months. But, I think conventional wisdom would tell you with the amount of money that he has that he'll probably make it into the runoff. And if he does, then there's going to be one conservative option. And I hope to be able to convince people that the best one will be me. But I think you'll have that one conservative alternative that will go head to head, potentially with Senator Cassidy in that runoff. And then in that case, I think that all conservatives will be able to unite behind that conservative alternative. So there's no splitting of the vote. I know we still kind of have that jungle primary mindset where you have all these Republicans splitting up the vote and then a Democrat getting the Democrat votes. That's not the case that we have here. The Republicans will nominate the most conservative candidate because, again, we have that runoff, and I do not think the Senator Cassidy is going to be able to get 50% plus one. So, again, I don't think you have any danger of that happening. Then we'll get that conservative nominee on the Republican side, and that person will go to the general election with the Democrat nominee. But as far as differentiating myself, look, I want to be very clear, and I know these situations get very tough, but none of this is personal. I know every single candidate in this race, which is kind of weird when I know that you guys do as well. When you've been involved in the political world for as long as we all have, you just get to know everybody, and there's only so many spots. And so, if you offer yourself up for public service, at some point, you're probably going to end up running against your friends. So it's a little bit awkward, it's a little bit weird, but I don't think we have to let it be that way. I have nothing bad to say about any of those guys in this race. Of course, Treasurer Fleming and Senator Miguez and I all serve together in the state capitol. We work together quite often. And I would tell you that I don't know all of the candidates super, super well. I've met them all. But I think it's safe to say, philosophically, from what I've seen from all the alternatives, that we'd all probably have the same voting record as U.S. senators. But I do think, style and approach is a little bit different. I think for me, I want to bring my experience of, being a legislator, and then certainly the last couple of years being the chairman of Ways and Means. And so many of the bills that I've done in the house, in the state house, require 70 votes, and I have to be able to bring people together, convince certainly all the Republicans, sometimes some Democrats that will vote with us on certain issues, but even on the Republican side, we have a lot of different philosophies and thought processes. Certainly, we have strong conservatives. We have people who are a little bit more moderate, and hey, some of them represent districts that are more moderate. So, but to get 70 votes on one bill, there's only 105 House members. So to get 70 votes, you have to be able to work with lots of different thought processes and lots of different philosophies. And that's something I think I can bring to the table. I don't feel like I've ever had to compromise anything on bills philosophically. I think that, especially when you get Democrats to vote with you, like we got some Democrats that voted for the LA Gator bill, for our Education Savings Accounts bill to bring more school choice to Louisiana. And those Democrats, they didn't ask for anything to be changed in the bill. They just agreed with the policy. Um, and the fact, I think, that we cultivate those kind of relationships in the state house where the Democrats, they don't mind coming to vote with us when they agree with our policies, because it's not super toxic. We have really great dialogue. We talk about issues. We talk about how certain bills and issues will be good in Republican districts and Democrat districts and for all of Louisiana. So I think that one, the school choice bill, was a really, really big one. Like I said, we had some Democrats that voted with us. We've certainly have Democrats that have voted with us on pro-life issues. Senator Katrina Jackson obviously authored the big bill that we ran back in 2022 um, to shut down abortion clinics in this state and end abortion in the state of Louisiana. I was very honored to carry that on the House side. We had Democrats that joined us on that. So I think, again, when you look at my record of, certainly my voting record, I would put up against anybody as being extremely conservative in the House. But then the bills that I've carried and the leadership that I've been able to provide in the state House, I think you'll just get someone with me who is a solutions-oriented person. And look, it's hard. It's hard to pass reforms, because anytime you do big major reforms, especially on the tax reform side, you're going to have people who are upset. And I think sometimes the easiest thing politically would be to do nothing and just sit there and say, well, I'm going to vote no on everything because that's the easiest thing. But that's not our job. We're supposed to go there to make things better for our state. So I think just the increase in education rankings, the increase in business rankings as far as best states to do business, Louisiana soared. So, and imagine what it would be like if we wouldn't have tried to push through some of those good reforms. We'd still be sitting at the bottom 10 of everything. But now I think we're seeing the beginnings of a real renaissance in Louisiana, and I'm super excited about that. So that was a roundabout way to answer your question of how do I differentiate myself. Again, I just think I'm a very solutions-oriented person. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, this isn't perfect, and so we're just going to move on. I really want to find ways for our state and our country to move forward.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that I've heard a lot from a lot of the candidates, Julie, is that they use the term America First, which is a great term. So, running for U.S. Senate, what does that term America First mean to you?
Well, look, I think that obviously, it's been an interesting topic lately, but I think you have domestic policy and you have international policy. And I think that, we pull in trillions of dollars every year in taxes. So I think obviously that really should go to domestic policies as much as possible. We want to be able to lower taxes. We want to concentrate on shutting down our border, stopping illegal immigration. There's so many domestic policies that we have to concentrate on and work with. We're about to have, I think, a pretty big healthcare crisis in this country. It feels like we're always kind of there. But you've seen just from the conversations that have happened during the One Big Beautiful Bill, and I think everybody who works in medicine and healthcare would tell you that something has got to change with Medicaid. I think we kind of did a little bit of a temporary fix, but even just in Louisiana, we saved on the state level $40 million just by taking off dead people and people who had moved out of state off of the Medicaid rolls. That is not throwing off somebody who needs it. That's obviously just going through government efficiencies and just communicating and actually doing our job of making sure that the people who are on those Medicaid rolls actually deserve it. So I think, those are really, really big items, but we've got to clean up our own house. America should always come first. I mean, the American government should always put America first. That's certainly not to say that we don't have allies around the world. I mean, unfortunately, we're kind of in a global fight for good at all times, and I sincerely hope America always remains the shining city on a hill for good around the world. And so, being the global superpower that we are, and I think kind of the one nation in the world that really, in my opinion, very much does still stand for good. We can't ignore the rest of the world. We do have to, have allies, make sure that things don't come to American soil to hurt American citizens. But I think being America first means that America always should come first in our policies.
Absolutely.
I like to hear that. That's a very popular term among the youth right now, and it's a big hot topic. But talking about the youth more, obviously, you got your MBA from South Carolina, correct? Was that
Mhm.
from what I heard? And you came back to Louisiana. So one of the things, you talk about Louisiana Renaissance and then booming economy. Well, being a recent graduate from college in Louisiana, a lot of young people leave Louisiana. What are some ways you think that you can try to bring the youth back, the same way you did to come back to Louisiana after college?
Yeah, look, Gabe, really, really great question. And I know you just told me what you graduated in, so I'm very curious to see if you're able to get a good job in Louisiana with that degree. Um, so keep me updated on that.
Oh yeah.
But interestingly enough, I think when the Landry administration came in and we started this new leadership, we were the only state in the Southeast that was losing population. Um, Everybody else around us was growing, and like you said, people were leaving Louisiana. I'm very thankful after the last couple of years and the policy changes that we've made, we have finally reversed that trend. I believe we've grown in the last year by about 35,000, which is a really big deal for Louisiana. But that was the main concern of the new legislative leadership and the new governor. So that's why we went to work with a lot of the policy changes that we made. And I'll say this, maybe people don't always agree with him, but Governor Landry is the most energetic person I've ever worked with in my entire life. I don't think the man sleeps because he felt like he had a mandate to reverse exactly what you're saying, Gabe, to make sure that we bring our young people back. And basically all of that to say, I think it starts with a lot of these economic policy changes that we've made to bring businesses and jobs back to Louisiana. We made a lot of changes on the personal side, but on the corporate income tax side, we were the only state in the Southeast that had, or actually, we were the only state in the country that had corporate income tax, franchise tax, and inventory tax. And I know nobody likes to talk about corporate taxes because it's like, well, big businesses pay that. But if you don't take care of that side of things, businesses will not come here. So we have to worry about it. We have to grow our economy. We have to create jobs. So we did the same thing on the corporate tax side as we did the personal. We flattened and lowered the corporate income tax rate. We got rid of the franchise tax. Franchise and inventory tax, both of those taxes, you could lose money in your business and still owe them because they were not a tax on your income. The franchise tax was a tax on your business capital in the state, and the inventory tax, of course, on the inventory that you had. So you literally could make no money that year and still owe those two. So we got rid of franchise, and then inventory is in the Constitution, and so we'll have that constitutional amendment on the ballot in May to allow the locals, that's collected by the local governments, to allow the locals to phase out and eliminate the inventory tax. I think those two things, eliminating franchise and inventory, will be a huge boost to bringing more businesses and jobs here. But even with the changes that we've made, We've seen $70 billion of economic investment in Louisiana since November. So I guess last November. So in the last year, we've seen $70 billion in investment. And that means creating jobs, and a lot of them for recent college graduates. Because I think a lot of it too requires technical skills. I think young people obviously are much better at tech than maybe some of our older generations. But that's not to say they can't learn. But no, I think that the types of businesses that we are attracting here are really creating jobs that are probably more geared toward young people and young college graduates. I know I was even just there's a new manufacturing facility in New Iberia that opened this week that manufactures solar panels um, called First Solar. And I mean, I know that they've been in cooperation with UL. It's not like a solar farm that everyone's afraid of right now. They're actually manufacturing the panels. Um, so it's, they've worked have a partnership with UL. Of course, UL has a really good engineering program, as does Tech. But they've been in partnership with to get a lot of their um, current students and graduates with internships and new jobs in that facility. And I know they created hundreds of new jobs over there. So again, I think in answer to your question, I think we're actively doing those things right now on the state level to try to reshape a lot of our policies. We also have the highest corporate tax rate in the Southeast. So again, sticker shock. Businesses aren't going to come here and invest if that's what's going on, if they can go to Texas and pay less. So the more that you can attract businesses here, the less of the tax burden you can give them, the more they can create jobs and good paying jobs. And I think, we also restructured with LED, we restructured a lot of those incentive programs, channeled it more toward creating high impact jobs, so higher wages, instead of all these different programs that we had that targeted specific industries. We just kind of made it across the board a program that would just incentivize high paying jobs.
Well, I want to say thank you for promoting that, growth, especially for people on generation. I've been blessed to find a job here in the aviation industry in Louisiana. It seems like the aviation industry is growing quite a bit. Um, but you talk about, building new plants in Louisiana. Just be a quick little question. With AI facilities being built in Louisiana, what is your opinion on AI? Where do you see it going in the future for America? And do you think there needs to be regulations passed on AI?
Well, look, I think anytime that you have some type of new industry coming in or something new in the space, although I will say with AI, it seems it's new, but it's kind of been here for the last few years, and then I think it's growing so fast that I'm not even sure people realized how much it was going to take over and how fast. So look, I'm an AI fan in the sense that I think it's brilliant. I mean, every single time I use Chat GPT, it's like, my goodness, I didn't realize I could get this information this fast. But I think anytime you have something new and innovative like that, you don't want to overregulate anything too much, but you also don't want people to be harmed in the process. And crazy enough, and I mean, I know this was just kind of a goofy example, but man, like in the last 24 hours, all those AI bots just targeted John Kennedy like crazy and
Yeah.
saying that his wife was in an accident, his son had cancer, and it got out of control. I had so many people texting me asking me what was going on. And then thankfully he posted and cleared it up today and said everyone's healthy. But I mean, it just got out of control. And so I think anything that Facebook and any of our social media platforms can do to make sure that that's properly labeled. Because I mean, I saw so many people, even though it, maybe for the younger generation, you may immediately recognize like, oh, well, that's fake. That's AI. That's a fake page. It's a spam page. I think a lot of people who aren't as used to it looked at that and certainly were sharing it and saying they were praying for him and thought something was seriously wrong. And I mean, so I think anything that the social media platforms can do to make sure that um, some of those, scam pages that try to promote some of that kind of stuff, at least that they're properly labeled. You want to make sure to protect free speech. But obviously, that's just entirely untrue. So you want to try to find ways to mitigate that. And I think that, in fairness, I think a lot of the big tech guys are actively working on it as well. I mean, even though they kind of developed it, I think it kind of grew faster than even they believed it would. But no, I mean, and look, I think that's why we need younger people in the U.S. Senate as well. That's not to say that I think I was 27 years old when I got to the state house, and I had people who were in their 80s who were in the house, and I think we all brought value to the table. You need every generation there. But I do think that the U.S. Senate is probably lacking the younger generation a little bit. And I think that Parker's like, you think? But no, but look, I think that the more that we can send younger people who do have a little bit better grasp on tech and AI and social media, I think that's always positive. Occasionally I'll, watch a Senate hearing and there'll be some questions about something that happened on social media. And the questions can get interesting sometimes. I just, I don't know that they necessarily have the user experience that maybe some of their younger counterparts do. So, yeah, I think that obviously we could bring a lot of value to the table of just understanding that and shaping good policy around it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that answer, because it's my contention that a lot of people in this state and well, and especially I would say the country actually would love to see term limits on Congress,
Yeah,
um, based on that exactly what you were just saying, the thought of bringing new ideas into Congress, and obviously that won't happen because you have to have Congress vote on that. But in my mind,
well,
people that are
I have signed the term limits pledge, so I will be in favor.
Yes. Yes, I'm for it as well. But the people that are for it, I believe, need to look in within their own heart as well to say, okay, I am for term limits, so we need to get these old people out of there. Basically, the same old, the establishment, essentially. And I see you as a anti-establishment type of candidate, and I really appreciate that. My next question to you, based on that establishment idea, is the biggest hurdle I see for you in your candidacy is the name recognition, right? Your average voter um, knows Bill Cassidy because he's been on the ballot forever. I mean, as long as I've been a child, he's been on the ballot. And they just see the name over and over and they said, oh, well, I know this name. Let me just press the ballot. Um, Same thing, I guess, with John Fleming, considering he's a state official. The thing that I have talked to voters around Livingston Parish, Ascension Parish, and EBR is they just don't know who y'all are. My
Sure.
question is, how are you going to get to those voters?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And um, I do have a lot of experience in that area, so I'm glad that you asked. Um, yeah, look, anytime that you jump into a statewide race, it's challenging. Obviously, you can have really, really great candidates, and I've seen this. We're working on campaigns all over the country. I can have the absolute best candidate in the world, and because I can sit down and talk to them one on one, I know their heart, I know their motivations, I know how great they are. But if I don't have enough money to tell everyone else about it, then they're not going to win. And that's an unfortunate reality in politics and certainly in a statewide race. I think in the case of Senator Cassidy, um, and I mean, really, he and I have been around each other some. I don't know him that well. I'm sure personally he's a nice individual, but I think that voters, this is not a personality game and how nice you are. I think that voters are frustrated with his record, so the fact that they know his name and know him very well in this instance may not be a good thing for him because I think that they're very aware of who he is because of things that he did they didn't like. So I'm not as concerned about that, obviously, as I am of building my own name ID up, right? Because, with the amount of candidates that you have in the race, you have to be able to differentiate yourself. Now, I do think with the amount of candidates that you have, obviously the threshold to get into a runoff is a little bit lower. It's very similar to a race that I did in 2023 when Nancy Landry ran for Secretary of State. And a lot of people said the same thing, like, hey, you're great. You have a lot of great experience, but, name ID is an issue. She had been out of office for 4 years. She was a state rep, but had been out of office for 4 years and worked at the Department of State. And so really it was just about targeting areas that we knew would be good for her. Um, so I think it's certainly incumbent upon me to get myself all over the state, which is why I'm up here in Northwest Louisiana right now. Um, but I think also really concentrating on areas where people are familiar with me and areas where maybe they're looking for a candidate to get familiar with is really important. So, like I said, I think targeting. I think it is going to be except for one stint that we had in 2010, but it is going to be our first year of party primaries, and so I think data sorting and being able to figure out who is going to turn out is really important. And again, it's something I have a pretty good amount of experience in, just from my past work and certainly in past statewide campaigns. And so, again, I think it's just going to take a lot of effort of identifying those voters, getting your name out to them, concentrating, in certain areas to make sure that those people will turn out for you. And, like I said, I was born up here. I have a lot of extended family up here. And so I do think it's an area where I can do well. But, look, I think after the first of the year, you're going to see this race really take shape. I think you're going to have, more speaking engagements, more town halls, more panels, things like that. And I can tell you that just in the, 3+ weeks that I've been in the race now, I've made it to just about every region. I think literally one week I had a whole day where I was in the Bayou region in Homa and Terrebonne and Lafourche. The very next day I was in Monroe. So it was kind of a quick jump. You run home, you sleep for a little bit, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you drive to Monroe. But that's what it's going to take. I think just the dedication. Obviously, I've been in the state house for 10 years and now held a leadership position. But I know that nobody really knows who state reps are. I did, I've tried to get myself out there. We did a little bit of a legislative road show, a couple of months ago where a lot of the chairs, and that was something the speaker wanted to do. He thought it was really important to get all over the state, go to every region. So I've always taken those opportunities to speak to everyone all over the state and really get them excited about some of these reforms that we've done. But so I think I've had a little bit of opportunity, more than some state reps maybe, to kind of go all over the state and get my name out there. But it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of, like I said, just identifying data, figuring out, who's actually going to vote in this primary. It'd probably be, we have 4 million people in the state, but when you whittle it down to who's actually going to turn out and who's going to turn out in the Republican primary, that number becomes much smaller. And so, being able to figure out who those people are, and really get that information in front of them and explain to them who I am, I think is key. And, unfortunately, it starts with raising money, which is a lot of what we've been doing right now.
Yeah, money's a necessary evil in politics,
It's
sadly.
a sad
It's
reality.
it's a very sad reality. Well,
Yeah. But look,
Julie,
I will say I'm grateful that, we do have social media now. And I think that,
Mhm.
that give us a little bit of an ability to get in front of people without as much money. So
Yeah,
definitely
we were
absolutely.
actually discussing that, a few Tuesdays ago when Mom Donnie won, and, we were talking about how the Democratic Party has just used social media so well, and how we need to transfer that to the Republican Party because and I personally believe it has a lot to do with the youth of the Republican Party, just the elected officials just aren't youthful. They don't understand social media, the way the Democrats are shaping their new party,
Well, we're
and so
counting
I
on
think we
Gen
need to
Z to
get
bring it
there.
back.
Yeah, right.
Come on,
Yeah,
Gabe.
Gabe,
You gotta
that's
you gotta
you.
lead all of Gen Z.
Hey, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Or
Yeah, if we leave it up to Gabe, we're in trouble. No, I'm kidding. So, but Julie, we
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 can fly
appreciate
all
you.
over America and all over Louisiana and get people on board.
I would rather drive if he was flying. So, but this is actually a lot of what we love to laugh. Last weekend we were all together and for Gabe's graduation, and we laughed a lot. And it's a lot of jokes and whatever. It's what best friends do, right? So,
Nice.
but we appreciate you coming on, Julie, and talking about your campaign. It is exciting to have someone who's not, okay, who's not half dead, running for U.S. Senate. And we're gonna have to take younger people and get them more involved. Like Gabe said, Gen Z. I mean, look at some of look. I mean, the Republican Party just doesn't understand the way that the Democrats are with younger people. And I mean, look at some of our friends on the state central committee. Some of them, I think, voted for Abraham Lincoln. They've been around for so long. So I mean, we got to get younger people
We
involved.
love them, Parker. We
We
still
do. We absolutely do. I do. But man, we need younger blood because I don't think they understand that people don't read billboards anymore. People don't watch the news anymore. You get everything like this. So I think we need to start modernizing and having younger people. Well, guys, y'all have anything y'all want to say to Julie?
No, just really appreciate you coming on, and I really respect the work that you're doing going to all these parishes. That's what's got to be done, and I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and congratulations to y'all for doing this. It was great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We've
Thank
enjoyed it
you.
and enjoyed having you on, Julie.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Y'all,
All
that was
right.
great.
She is great. Yeah,
Yeah,
She
she's
is
great.
great.
yeah.
She's got my vote.
Yeah, it's youthful energy. I mean, knowledgeable, and that's the one thing people don't understand with young people. They think, and especially more so with y'all and myself, it's because we're young. We don't know what we're talking about. Well, right there's a prime example of
Right.
that's not true. I mean, she
No,
is
she knows
a
exactly what's
wealth
going
Yep.
of
on.
knowledge.
She
So that
knows what
was
she's doing.
absolutely that was great. So y'all, I wanted to get Julie on because she's great, and I wanted to get this interview. But this is the first time that we've recorded in about what 2 weeks now.
2 weeks now. It's the last
Yeah,
one
we've been
was
on
an
a little
in-person.
sabbatical, guys.
Yeah, we were in person in Alexandria, and we're here now.
Which was a great weekend, by the way.
A great weekend and a lot of great speakers, and we survived that weekend. And like you said, I wish there was more young people at that convention.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the hot topic is youth in the Republican Party.
Well, and it's all
Absolutely.
about growing the party, guys. I mean,
Right.
this is why we started this is to get
Mhm.
young people involved. And I think Julie has the right headspace of wanting that to happen,
Absolutely.
and her winning her representative race at 27 years old is the prime example of what we all want to be, right?
Right.
We
Absolutely.
can't
Oh,
be afraid to
absolutely.
take that leap and to do something just because we're youthful. We have ideas and we want to share those ideas, and I think that as long as people want to listen, why not?
Yeah. But then, yeah, we've had a 2 week sabbatical, I guess. 2 weeks. We were supposed to have someone on 2 weeks ago, but then things happened, whatever. And then last week we announced we weren't going to have any recordings because, as we've talked about multiple times, Gabe finally graduated. Woo!
Let's go. Let's
Dear
go.
liberals, I'm on the same level as liberals now. You can't use education against me. I got my Bachelor of Science in the College of Liberal Arts.
Let's
College of Liberal
go.
Arts. I got my Bachelor's of Science.
He's an official
So
liberal.
I'm official liberal, guys. So
Let's go.
But last
from
week, Justin's not here, by the way. Justin just flew in recently from Washington D.C. and
Yeah,
he's
he's all
doing a lot
fancy
of personal
smancy.
stuff.
He had a fundraising seminar he went to in DC for
Yeah,
a week. So
yeah.
good for
So
him.
yeah, absolutely. So last weekend, me, Coy, and Justin went to go watch Gabe graduate at Tech and had a great weekend. We had a great weekend. Some of us, not us, not here, and maybe not to them, but there's a few who don't remember after the graduation. But hey, fun ensued. That's all I got to say.
It
hey,
was a
I
good
remember
time. It was all
everything.
celebrations. All
It was
celebrations.
all celebration. We're young men. Of course, we got to celebrate, especially after 5 years of college. I got to celebrate that. I deserve a good break from college, but I officially got a job as well. So I'm starting
Yeah, we
that.
announced that
Yeah.
last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I officially started work last week, and so that's going good. So if you want to learn how to fly airplanes in North Louisiana, let me know. I'll
Fly
teach you.
Freeman.
Fly Freeman.
Fly
There we go.
Freeman. His own airline starting soon.
We're bringing it. So yeah. So Julie, if you're hearing this after we post this, if you need a pilot for your campaign, please hire me. well, I'll get you from Caddo to Baton Rouge to Lake Charles, all the same day. No breaks.
And I mean, and really, born in Shreveport. I asked her if she knew what hospital, which that's a big deal up here. And I don't know about Baton Rouge area, but what hospital were you born at? And she was able to tell me. she couldn't remember the name, but she told me, "Oh, it's right near a Southern Made Donuts," and I'm like, "Huh, Willis Knight North. Know exactly where it's at." I drove by there not too long ago, and the hot donut sign was on, so I pulled right on in. Best donuts you'll ever have, by the way. And Coy, we should have got you and Justin Southern Made Donuts where y'all were here.
Yeah, we
It's the
should have.
best donut
Yeah,
you'll ever eat.
missed out.
Fun fact, the only commercial Elvis Presley ever did was for Southern Made Donuts.
Really? I
Yep,
did
back
not
when he
know
was in the
that.
Louisiana hayride here in Shreveport.
Huh.
Yep, he
Gabe, did
sang
you
the
know that?
jingle.
Good
Yeah.
to know.
So
Was Willis,
little
wait, so which Willis Knighton is that one? Is that the
Willis
one
Knight
like
North,
is
the one over
okay?
there by
So
the fairgrounds and Hearst
oh, okay,
Coliseum.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, she was because my nephew was born in Willis Knighton. Well, not Willis Knighton North, but same parish, same city. So that's crazy. So,
Yeah.
but
And
she,
same, I
I
was
like
born
her.
Willis Knight
Yeah.
in South
Hey, we
off
were all born in the
37.
same state. Wow, so crazy.
Oh man, how mind blowing.
Hey, I wasn't, but
Well, you were born in Mexico.
all right.
Oh
All right.
snap. So, but yeah, we've moving on. We got to hang out and all be together last weekend, which is great. I enjoy getting to hang out with my bros, and having just a good time. And then we lost Gabe, and where's he go?
Hold
Where's
on.
he go?
I guess special guest. I got special guest for this. Other than Miss Julie Emerson.
Who do we have?
Is it Juju? Let's
Oh, it's
go.
Juju! Oh, Juju!
Juju! Let's go.
So, Juju, what does America First mean?
America first means America only.
All right.
Juju's a proud patriot.
We love
Wow.
Juju. Juju is a
Love
great
Juju.
dog.
Juju is the Shiba Inu that Gabe has, and it's absolutely the best dog I've ever met in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. If Justin and Coy spent the night here at my new place, and they fell in love with Juju.
Yeah. Almost
You-
took
you-
almost took her home.
And I've been there, and I've been around Juju a lot. Juju's a great dog. Doesn't
Yeah.
really bark and just
Nope.
loves to be loved on. And so, I mean, yeah, we love Juju.
Yeah. Stud.
Absolutely. So, there's a few things we want to talk about, wrapping up. But, this is the week of Thanksgiving. Would y'all thought, how quickly has this year gone by, y'all?
It's been
That's-
insane,
yeah.
guys. Like, it's just been a whirlwind of, I mean, I can't even believe we're already in November. I mean, a month from now, it's going to be 2 days from Christmas. It's just
I know.
insane.
Well, it feels like yesterday we were starting the year. I thought 2025, because, we had redistricting, and then we had the governor's election, then we had the presidential election. I thought 2025 was going to be the year that it was just kind of be chill and relaxed. but man, we had legislative sessions, we had tax elections, we've had all sorts of things. This year has just been
Yeah.
a whirlwind. But Thanksgiving's coming up a couple days, this Thursday. So, just real quickly, what are y'all thankful for?
For me, it's definitely my family. I lost my grandfather in June of this year, and it was a really tough loss for all of us. He was the patriarch of our family and taught me everything I knew in politics. So I'm very thankful for how we just came together, and actually we've gotten stronger. I've seen more of my family than I have in a long time because of it. And I just think that just shows you God's blessings, right? Everything
Absolutely.
there's a silver lining to everything, and I think it's good to acknowledge that. And so I'm just very blessed to have the family that I do, and also y'all, and I really appreciate y'all as being my friends. I know I could call y'all at any moment, in day or night,
he
and y'all will
has.
be there for me.
And he has.
So, yeah, no, man, it's going to be a very solemn, I guess, but also celebratory Thanksgiving because it's going to be the first holiday without him. So,
Yeah.
but it's a good remembrance.
Gabe?
I'm gonna say likewise to my family. I mean, graduating college made me realize how much they supported me through these 5 years.
And they
They've
did.
just always been there. Yeah, they did. They supported me tremendously. Not just financially, but also motivational. Because college I did a lot of stuff in college, and I went through just a lot of things in college, ups and downs, and they were always right there by my side. And then goes to say also my friends as well. The friends I made it through college. I went to a wedding this past weekend. where one of my fellow orientation staff members got married, and so the Coutures, yeah, one of those fancy last names. I can't pronounce it right, but congratulations to them. Shout out to them if they ever hear this. But made me realize, like, yeah, no matter what we do after college or even just life, right? You quit a job, you move on, move somewhere else, and you still come back together after years later, and you still know each other very, very
Mhm.
well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and same with me. I kind of so we were talking about this before we started recording. I'm better at writing than I am really kind of talking. But this
Well,
year's kind of been shut up, Gabe. This year has kind of been different for me. About 5 years ago, my aunt, who my dad, and just not good thought, but my dad died when I was young, and really wasn't in the picture before then. And my aunts helped my mom raise me and my brothers. And one of my aunts, who I'm the closest with, about 5 years ago, was diagnosed with dementia. And me and her other sister, my mom's twin sister, were her primary caregivers. And then in August of this year, we made the hard decision of putting her in a nursing home or a care facility. And at first, it was very tedious, and it was hard because she doesn't take change well. Even before the dementia stuff, she didn't really like change. And who doesn't really? I mean, we don't like change. But I kind of wrote, given that context, I kind of wrote this down just because I'm better at writing than I am at really at speaking. It says, I'm thankful for my health and for the talents God has blessed me with. I'm thankful for the Lord's church, a place of truth, strength, and fellowship. I'm thankful for my family. Their love, encouragement, and unwavering support means everything to me. I'm thankful that we were able to transition my Aunt Martha into a nursing home where she has grown to love her new environment. I'm grateful that her dementia has not robbed her of her recognition of her family, especially me, her favorite nephew, and she'll tell you that. I know that one day that moment may come, and the thought of that really does break my heart. But today I'm thankful for every memory she still holds. I'm thankful for my best friends and my brothers Coy, Justin, and Gabe, men who stand beside me, who have lifted me up and have made life better and richer. But above all else, I'm thankful for Jesus, for his willingness to lay down his life for me, for giving someone as flawed and sinful as I am the hope of eternal life. His grace, his sacrifice, his love remains the greatest blessing of all. So that's kind of what I wrote down that I'm thankful for. And we really have we may have had bad things happen, but really when the rubber meets the road, our blessings far outweigh the bad things. You know, yes, putting like what Coy said, his grandfather passing, that was horrible. But one of the outcomes is that his family has gotten closer. Uh, Same thing with my aunt, moving her from her home to a nursing home. That was a bad thing because I lived with her for a couple years, helping take care of her along with my aunt Tammy, and not having her at home really was weird for a couple weeks. But the care she's gotten so much better. I mean, she is so much better there than she was at home. So that's one of the positive outcomes. So our blessings far outweigh the bad things. And so this Thanksgiving, we have a lot to be thankful for. Man, we have so many things we can be thankful for, but above all, we have to be thankful for Jesus. Because if it wasn't for Jesus and his sacrifice on the cross for our sins, we wouldn't have anything to be thankful for. You think about people who are atheists, like with Coy. When your grandfather was a believer, when you look at where y'all put his body, his gravesite, that is not really a gravesite, Coy. I call it a resurrection site because one day we're all going to come out from the graves and we're going to ascend to be with the Father. And we can look over those things and know that there is a hope. Know that there is something greater than just a 8-foot hole in the or 6-foot hole in the ground. And you know what? That is the greatest thing that we can be thankful for. Thankful for eternity with Jesus, thankful for his sacrifice and his willingness to die on the cross for our sins. Man, that's the greatest blessing of all. And with that sermon over, we'll pass the baskets and take up a contribution.
You did a great job, buddy. Great
There
job.
you go. Yeah.
Amen. Amen to that, though.
I mean,
Seriously.
it is Sunday, so yeah.
Yeah,
Preach your stuff,
we
Yeah,
Pastor.
actually, so for those of you that don't know, I'm Catholic, so I went through RCIA about let's see, 4 years ago now. Wow. Um, and so Father Newton just passed away, and he was the priest that did my first confession. He died in India of a heart attack, and went to St. George today to remember him and everything. It's just kind of a sad moment, but also a celebration as well because he is. I know where he's at, and
Mm-hmm.
I know where me, you, and Gabe will be.
Oh yeah.
And so
Justin, it's a little iffy, but no, I'm kidding.
yeah, well, he's not here, so
Yeah, we can rag on him. He's not here. But so before the job I have now, which I'm not going to go into specifics because I don't need the liberals knowing where I work. I was a funeral director for 8 years. I dealt with death every single day. And it just was astounding to me, the people who were atheists and they look at a gravesite and that's it's final for them. That's finality in their mind. And as a Christian, I can look at over a gravesite and say, one day this grave is going to open. Jesus is going to come again. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Jesus is coming again. And you have to be ready for that because it's going to be like that. One day that trumpet's going to sound, Jesus is going to appear, and life on earth will cease to exist as we know it. And then we're all going to be called and stand before God in judgment. There is so much sadness, but also celebration. I mean, when someone passes away, someone say, I lost my grandfather, or I lost, when whatever. You really didn't lose them. You know where they're at.
Mhm.
There's no loss there. They're before the Father, and standing there and looking at the face of Jesus, man, that gives me chills just thinking about it. Getting to heaven and worshiping Jesus, man, the Savior who I have prayed to, who I've laid prostrate on the ground and cried in prayer over, man, to be able to worship Him face to face. Nothing's going to compare, and honestly, I can't wait. I really can't. It's going to be a great day of rejoicing and reunion. But man, so we'll now it's Sunday. We'll conclude the sermon here. But going in further in the Thanksgiving, what is y'all's favorite Thanksgiving food?
Oh man, this is gonna sound
That's hard.
awful, but I am not a big casserole guy. I do not like casseroles. I don't really like Thanksgiving food. I think it's overrated.
What is wrong with you?
I think it's overrated. I do.
I would back you up, Coy. I mean, I would much rather
If it was
out some
that good, then
tacos.
you would eat it every day. It's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I have a legitimate answer.
Gumbo is my favorite Thanksgiving food.
So my favorite thing on Thanksgiving is cornbread dressing.
I thought you were gonna say everything, but yeah, I mean, yeah, cornbread dressing.
Shut up, Gabe. No, cornbread dressing.
What the
That is
hell
my
is that?
favorite thing.
I have never
You've
heard
never
of that.
heard of cornbread dressing?
I like homemade mac and cheese. That's good.
I like mac and cheese and turkey. I like
Wait, hold on,
I
hold on.
like green
Turkey's gotta be
beans.
done well. See, turkeys are so
Yeah.
finicky. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're dry as hell.
You just got to know, like a chef who knows how to cook them.
Right.
It's an art to cooking turkey. And but no, you've never heard of cornbread dressing, Gabe?
I've heard of it.
I mean,
Are you talking to Gabe? Oh.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't.
I don't like dressings. I don't like casseroles. I don't like none of it.
I mean,
what is wrong
sounds
with you?
kind of. I mean, I'm not gonna diss it until I try it, but it sounds not appealing. Like cornbread dressing, like that's something I'm never gonna like go out of my way. Like, I
Okay,
want
hold on.
cornbread dressing. Like that's just.
Okay, let me.
There's so
refer it
much
to the
more
term.
Thanksgiving food you could say. And
No.
you chose the one option that like.
It's okay. A lot of people we don't. Okay, how do I explain this? People sometimes refer to it as stuffing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, stuffing. Duh, yeah, I like stuffing.
But we call it cornbread dressing because we don't stuff the turkey with it. We cook it in a pan on the side.
I mean, it's still called stuffing regardless outside
No, it's
or
not
inside
because
turkey.
you're
Yes,
not
it is.
stuffing. You can't call
All right,
something.
we're getting into
stuffing.
semantics.
No. We're going to have culinary accuracy here. You cannot call something stuffing that hasn't been stuffed.
You can call a lot of things.
It's like
something.
calling
You
a
can call-
helicopter an airplane.
That's not the same thing.
Exactly.
Don't. Well, the thing is, I have this to back up my claims. I have this to back up my claims.
If I had my culinary stuff right here where I could show you my degree, I would pull it. But it's
what your tonsils and your
Tonsils are in your
Oh, not
throat, bro.
tonsils. Yeah, your
Yep.
thongs. Yeah, thong. Hey, there's his degree. Yes, sir.
That's not a degree. Hold on.
Boom.
Wait, what's that say? Isn't that when your state central
Wait,
committee?
wait. This is RCC. I have my other
I was gonna
degree.
say,
Hold on.
whoa, I have
That
one of
is
those.
that
Where's
is
it
not a
at?
degree.
I have it somewhere down here. I don't have it framed. I need to get it framed.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
but yeah, no, we're gonna be right and accurate here. It's not stuffing, it's dressing, and it's not dressing, it's dressing. DRESSIN.
Dressing is a
apostrophe.
sauce, buddy.
It is.
Rage
Take
bait.
it.
10 out of
You
10.
weren't even born in the South, so I mean, you can't even talk on this with any great accuracy. But I bet if you asked your dad about cornbread dressing, he'd know exactly what it was. So go ask him. Let him
hell
learn you
no.
something. Let him
No,
learn you something.
it's called stuffing in this household. This is a
It's not
stuffing pro
cornbread.
household, okay?
You can't call something. Okay, anyway, moving on. So what's in the news y'all want to talk about?
Epstein files.
Oh gosh, I
Lord.
don't know. We should go there.
We'll touch very baseline. Obviously,
I'm tired of hearing about it. I am so tired of hearing about it.
Well, you can't just put it off the side. Like when things come out more and more, which I think
Here's all I'll say about it. Here's all I'll say about it. Donald Trump ran on releasing them. I'm glad they're being released. That's all I'll say.
Okay, that's we can leave it at that because I'm tired of hearing about the Epstein. Okay, what's next?
Okay.
Mom Donnie's meeting with Trump. That was buddy.
That was
What's
very
up with
interesting.
that? That was I don't know what the hell that was.
I think it served a purpose, and like I don't know if y'all read my message.
No, I
Have
know.
you noticed after that meeting how the left is now completely bashing Mandami where they were just praising him before? I think Donald Trump effectively cut him off at the kneecaps for growing any further and made him look like the small child in the room. And that's just my take on it because it
I mean,
effectively kneecapped him.
I disagree. I think it's just Democrats. They'll get mad and pissy for like a day or two, and then they're gonna back him up again just because he's the poster child of a good Democrat, right? He's a Muslim person of color, young man that's gonna run the city, and so I think, yeah, they're gonna be pissed off right now, but he's gonna have something else. He's gonna go on Twitter or whatever again, and bash Donald Trump again.
I think it goes both ways, though. I mean, I've seen a lot of Trump supporters that are like, "What?" Like myself, the reaction that I had, like, "What the hell is this?"
But I also
so it
think
goes
it's
both
great.
ways in that.
But I also think it's great for the country that you can have two people who completely hate each other and yet be cordial and civil. We need.
Since
we
when
need
is
a
Donald
lot more
Trump
of that.
civil?
I mean, look at that meeting. Look at that meeting. It was a very
Yeah, but the
civil
thing
meeting.
is, you can't look. You can't just talk all this smack on social media, on Twitter posts and videos, and saying like, oh, like what did he say in his rally, Madami? Turn up the volume or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Donald Trump, turn up the volume.
turn up the
Listen to me
volume.
now.
And then he gets there and he's all quiet and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's like outside of politics, it's just like, dude, you're being a wuss. Like,
And
stand
then
by.
Caroline Leavitt, who speaks for Donald Trump, calling him a socialist and all these names.
Yeah.
It's like,
What
and then they both didn't back it up.
My favorite part was when the reporter asked Mandami, he said, "Do you you called him a fascist and stuff?" And he tried to
Trump
give
just
this
said, "Let it
political answer.
happen." Yes.
Just say
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
It's easier that
That
way.
was funny. That was a very funny. Just say
What
yes. Just
concerned
say
me
okay.
though is that Trump said he would live in a Mamdani ran New York City. I don't like that. No. Sorry. Not with what he said about taxing white neighborhoods more than other races. I'm not supporting that.
Oh, wait,
Sorry.
I'm good then. I'll see y'all. I'm going to New York then. I'll get my tax write-off. I'll get my free rent, my free groceries.
Yeah, and it was just bizarre. Just really bizarre.
It was bizarre, but
I don't know.
It doesn't.
We'll see how it plays out.
I mean,
Well,
it's over now, and I was kind of part of me was wanting fireworks, but then the other side of me was like, man, just have us. Let's finally, after the thing that happened with the
What
Ukrainian
gets me is that
president.
he'll kick a leader of a country out the Oval Office, but not a socialist.
Well, I don't disagree. He should have been kicked out of the Oval Office.
No, I don't either. My point is, I wouldn't even invite Mamdani, but that's just me personally.
I mean, there was It did what it did. I don't know what it is. I think it was meant to kneecap him and make him look like a child, but that's just my opinion. That's just
Yeah. Well,
my
we'll
Uncle
see. We'll
Bubba
let it
says
play out.
my Uncle Bubba says opinions are like rear ends. Everybody's got one.
That's very true.
Well,
What else?
on the we got the I think a good hot topic to end on is Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from Congress. Um, how you feel about that, guys?
I think it's pretty bizarre timing. That's all I'll say on that matter.
I was never a fan to begin with, so I mean, if it was my district, I probably would care more. Um, but I don't live in that district. I don't know. I never was a fan of her to begin with. When she spoke at the RNC, I left because I wasn't. I'm never been a big fan of her. I think she's principled. I think she's a very principled person. Just it wasn't my cup of tea, and you know I don't know. It's weird the timing of it, especially how long she's letting it go. So I don't know if it's one of these things where it's like, let's grab a headline because she can rescind it and go, oh, never mind. I don't want to resign because that's been thrown around as a possibility. So I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, I just think the timing of all of it is weird. Her fighting so hard for these files and then resigning like 2 days after they're gonna be released, um, just kinda doesn't sit right with me. But, we'll see. I don't know. Gabe, what is your thoughts?
I mean, I respect her. I was like with Parker at the same time frame. Like at the time, I didn't really like. She didn't really impress me, but towards the end, before she resigned, she started doing a lot of things, which I think it's good to shake up the political atmosphere like she's doing and others. I kind of categorize her in the same boat as like Tucker Carlson and all of them. As in like they're going against the waves, which whether you think it's good or bad, I think it's necessary just to bring up conversation, just to
Oh, absolutely.
what else
Yeah.
is being just to bring up just things are not being talked
Well,
about.
absolutely. I completely agree with that. I mean, even whatever I was saying about Trump with Mamdani, it's okay to disagree with a person. He is just a person, you guys. So it's like
Yeah,
I don't have to agree with everything the president does just because I voted for him. That's
absolutely.
just natural. That's natural think. That means I'm thinking for myself, and I think that's how everybody should be. If you
Yeah,
agree with everything somebody's doing, then you need to look yourself in the mirror.
I don't agree with him wanting to do these mass migration visas. I'm completely against that, and I
Yeah, it
don't
makes
agree
no
with it.
sense.
And the thing is we've equivocated 100 undying percent loyalty as if you're not 100% agreement, you're not loyal, you're not on board. Well, let me tell you something. I am probably the most pro-Trump person you'll ever meet. As
Yeah,
someone who, and I'll tell you, in 2016, I was not. I was a Ted Cruz guy. I ran for delegate in the state
Wow.
convention for Ted Cruz.
Ted
Thought
Cruz,
Trump,
come on, man.
dude. What were you doing in 2016?
I was a Trump guy from the get
What? No,
go.
no, no,
I was
no.
finishing
What
up
were you
midterms
doing? What were you doing? 2016.
in
You
I
were
was
high
still in.
school.
starting freshman year in high school.
Yeah. So, hush.
Hey,
Let the
I
adults
had
talk.
my mag hat before you did. That's good to know.
And I will tell you, I was not. I was not initially a Trump fan. I was not. I was a Ted Cruz guy, and I was kind of I voted. I was not a Trump fan. Let's just leave it at that. But then when I saw his first term, he was actually doing what he said he would do, and how he was changing things. It completely changed my perspective. I am probably the most pro-Trump. I mean, right here, I've got my MAGA hat. I got Trump 2028. I am probably the most pro-Trump person you'll ever meet, and I don't have to agree with him 100% of the time to be
No,
pro-Trump.
no, no, you don't. I think that's the problem with our party as well, is the ideology that you have to be 100% behind everything that he says and does. That's not how I want to act at all in my life. So, as a
Yeah,
party that I'm a part of, I don't agree with that sentiment. I don't think that's good. That's not proper. You're supposed to disagree sometimes, so that way conversations can happen and new ideas form. That's what I
absolutely.
personally believe.
We're a big tent party. I know a lot of people hate hearing that. We are legitimately a big tent party where everybody is welcome. I really do believe that. We have the more moderate uh, 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 faction of the party. You have the more. I mean, you have people who are way far on the right wing who paper ballots, carbon capture. So we have the libertarians, we have the constitutionalists, we have the neocons. So we're legitimately a big tent party.
I mean, the podcast shows it. You have the Justin Greens and the Parker Wards. I mean, those are two different sides of the Republican spectrum right there.
I'm gonna need you to explain that.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused by that.
What do you mean?
Well, let's advertise previous episodes. Go watch back on episodes, and you compare Justin and Parker in the podcast. And you tell me if they're the same person.
Never said the same person.
Exactly. I'm saying they're not, and so you'll see a clear divide between Justin's thinking and Parker's thinking. And
Mine just comes with age and wisdom.
Well, I think with age, especially you, Parker, it dies off. But I don't know about wisdom, Parker. I don't know about wisdom. I mean, with food, maybe, yeah. I can trust your opinion.
How many times have y'all called me with, "Hey, I need to run something by you. I need to get your advice."
I haven't.
Okay.
That's a Justin or Coy question. That's for them. Coy, you comment?
I've asked him a couple times for help, for advice.
Gabe might not, because that's called arrogance.
It's not arrogance. It's called, I'm just minding my own business. I'm not ready for anything yet. I'm just working.
The things they've called me about had nothing to do with politics.
That's very true.
Well,
very true.
Well, I don't need aviation advice from you, or else I'll crash the airplane.
It had nothing to do. Oh God.
Anyway,
Lord help me, Jesus, get through this episode.
Anyway, we're almost we're
nearing
past
an
end here, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna end.
It is very.
It's past Parker's bedtime.
I'm gonna tell you,
Parker had a broken leg and a bad back, and he had like COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21, and complained.
No,
and
hold on,
he moaned and cried all week.
No. First of all, let's.
The boy cried sheep.
Hold on. We can end the episode first, and then we can get into this.
No. I just kind of want to put this out. No, I had issues with I had issues while we were here, but I sat, I did what I had to do. Y'all did what y'all wanted. I ended up with strep. Get it right. I had strep, not COVID-19, strep.
Wow.
Which is why I'm
the way you make it sound like it's COVID. But hey, I mean, you try to blame it on me.
It is your fault.
That weekend. It's not. I'm healthy. Coy's healthy, and Justin's healthy. Take your vitamin C's.
I take vitamin C. I take echinacea. I take vitamin D.
Am I no longer the sick person anymore?
It's Parker now. Parker got promoted. Yeah.
Hold on. When have I ever not gone to an event because I was sick?
Let's see.
That's true.
You were gonna skip this podcast.
If I no. If I didn't feel better, and I today's the first day I've actually felt pretty decent.
That one's still on me. I do. Yeah. Anyway.
But you know what? We'll pass the sick trophy to Parker Ward. Everyone congrats Parker Ward on the sick man trophy. I haven't heard much from Coy about being sick recently, so
no, he probably doesn't say a word when he's sick. He's like, I'm not saying anything.
I've been relatively healthy this year. So
yeah, Coy's very healthy, and then we'll end off on that. We're promoting good health, right? The New Year's is coming up.
Yep.
Take your vitamins. Go for runs. Go work out.
Go
get a gym membership. Yeah.
Go get your cardio.
Get the cardio like Coy. Hit the gym like me. That's my message from me. You got any inspiring messages before we end the episode, guys?
Nah, I'm good. You nailed it.
Well, everyone, from all of us, we just want to say happy Thanksgiving. We're thankful that you tune in and listen to us just rant and rave about whatever nonsense we want to talk about. And that's really, really what it is.
It's a majority of nonsense.
It's a majority of nonsense. And thank y'all so much for listening to us. I mean, it's been astounding. However, this month and a half now, I actually know it's been longer than a month and a half, really. Since we started this thing, and how
we started in September.
End of September. So it's
almost
basically.
So 2 months.
Yeah.
And then at the leadership conference, people were coming up to us left and right. Oh, we watch your podcast. Because going to to Alexandria, Coy called me. He said, "You think people are going to recognize us?" I went, "Absolutely not." And boy, was I wrong. I was absolutely wrong. And so it's been great. Well,
Yeah,
guys,
cool.
happy Thanksgiving. Go eat your
Happy Thanksgiving,
gumbo.
guys.
Gabe, eat cornbread dressing.
Stuffing.
Enjoy your stuffing, Parker.
It's
It's
enjoy your
dressing.
stuffing.
Cornbread dressing.
Ranch is dressing, not stuffing.
Yeah.
Anyways, God bless Louisiana and God bless America. Have a great night.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.